everybody. Thanks so much for popping on to the channel for our very first Media Monday. Hopefully you're able to hear me. Of course, as soon as I decide to start doing these, I get sick. Of course, as soon as I do these. So basically what we're going to do is every Monday, we're going to be talking about basically different kinds of media and how we can incorporate them into our craft, or how, like, if it's a show or a movie or something like that, if the lore is misrepresented, or if there's an easy everyday way that you can learn how to do a certain type of divination or do spell work or something like that, we are going to include that into Media Monday. And there will even be some days that I know I'm going to have guests. I'm going to have, for example, my husband on, because they're more knowledgeable than I am, or it's something that we constantly talk about, and I know it'd be interesting to get their point of view as well. So, what we're going to do first is Shufflemancy, and I'm going to hold the mic really close to my face so you can hear me. Is we're going to be doing Shufflemancy. Now, Shufflemancy, if you don't know what that is, it's a type of musical divination where, let's say you're just listening to the radio or you're listening to your phone. You can do this with a record player or just anything that does music. And basically, Shufflemancy is when you ask yourself a question, shuffle through the music, drop the needle down on the record player, anything like that, and whatever song comes up, that's the answer. It's like pulling a card from a tarot deck, only you're doing it audibly. And I noticed doing the Creature Musical Tarot Deck challenge that I have on the channel, that a lot of people who are audible learners that do better listening to things really appreciate Shufflemancy, because then they can use any type of music that they want to, and they can make their own decks that are portable that can just go around. We all naturally do this anyway, especially if, I remember having a really rough day one time, and I get in the car, I turn on the radio, because we still listen to the radio, and Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison came on, and I just wanted to punch the radio. I was like, thanks for the sass. Much appreciated. Let me fix this a tad. There we go. But it's things like that, where it's like the music is speaking directly to you. Now, when I do this for a professional reading, because I have done professional Shufflemancy readings where I've been paid to do that, usually what happens is I have a playlist that people can choose from, or if someone specifically says, I've had someone be like, here's my question, and I want you to shuffle through opera, like different operatic songs, so I'll go find a playlist too. The wonderful world of YouTube lets you do that. And then I look up the sheet music, because I can read sheet music, and I'll compare that with numerology. So I'll count the steps, and depending on the numerological meaning, I can relate it to a tarot card, or I'll pay attention to the lyrics. If there's a music video, I'll look up the music video, because it tells a story, and it just adds that much more to the reading. And that's how come you can get a reading any kind of way, from Stinging the Police to In This Moment and beyond. So one of the songs that I've been wanting to pick apart, because I've been kind of obsessed with it, is the revamped version of Falling in Reverse. Their song, I'm Not a Vampire. And I find it fascinating. Like, I've gone through and I've watched the music video a million times. I've gone through and I've watched other people react to it. And Of course, no one is going to mention the things that I mention, at least from what I've been watching, because they don't see it from my perspective, right? We all have our own unique perspectives. So what I want to do is go through this song with you, and I'm going to do, like, if this song had popped up for a Shufflemancy reading, I'm going to break it apart. That way you can see what I would do. And then if there's other songs that you would like me to do this with, I absolutely can. I find this super fun. So what we're going to do first is we're going to watch the music video. Now, the video itself is going to look a little different for copyright reasons on YouTube. It's going to be black and white. It's going to be flipped. The video is. So I apologize in advance if you want to see it how it actually is, because the cinematography is wonderful. It makes my little theater heart happy. Go watch the music video. And then we're going to stop, look at the sheet music. The sheet music I have is from the original version. This is a revamped version, remember? So the original version, the tempo was more upbeat. The music video was completely different. And if you want, we can even compare the two. And what I also thought of doing right before I started recording was looking at the writer. The writer is the singer, Ronnie Radke. I want to look at his human design chart, because it's interesting with what he portrays in his songs, how his personality fleshes out. And just by looking at his human design chart, that'll cover the astrology, that'll cover the chakras, Kabbalah, all of that too. So I hope you really enjoy this. And let's go ahead and get started. And once again, like I said, the video is going to be flipped, and it's going to be monochrome. So thank you for your patience. If you want to see it in its original format, go ahead and look it up here on YouTube. Otherwise, let's just go ahead and get started. Tiny little note before we get started, sorry. It took me and my husband forever to figure out who this lady was that's in the video with him. Because we were watching another reactor and he was like, is that Paige from WWE? And my husband's a big wrestling fan. This is Paige. So if you guys don't know who Paige is, she just had a movie come out talking about it's Wrestling with My Family. We still haven't seen it, but she is a wrestler, and her and Ronnie Radke have been dating for a while. So I thought it was really wonderful to see her in this. It's completely different makeup than what she usually wears. So we were a little caught off guard, but she looks beautiful. I love it so much, and this fits her aesthetic so much. If you don't know who Paige is and you want a badass female icon in your life, go watch Paige wrestle.
My hands are always shaking, body's always aching.
A little bit of autotune goes a long way.
And Daddy should have never raised me on Black Sabbath. I can feel it in my bones, coursing through my veins. When did I become so cold? For goodness sakes, where is my self-control? If home is where my heart is, then my heart has lost all. When will you mortals believe? I just want the world to believe. Lost at the sight of your blood. I swear to God, I am not. So God bless all of you now, 'cause I'm going straight to hell, and I'm taking you down with me, because you know damn well. So I sharpen my teeth, 'cause I love the way it feels when I sink into your skin and draw the only thing that's real. You don't believe me. Should I write it in blood? You better drive that fucking stake right down my heart and try and run, motherfucker! I'm a vampire! And I can feel it in my blood, coursing through my veins. Did I become so cold? Goodness sake, where is my self-control? If home is where my heart is, then my heart has lost all. Heart has fucking lost all. Heart has lost
And that says, in loving memory of Derek Jones. Okay. So, first of all, I love it. It's theatrical and I adore it. And I love... Okay, there's a few reasons why I love it, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. So, we're going to take a look at his chart first. Because then it's really going to explain why he is, like, why he portrays things in certain ways. So, first of all, look at the chakras here. He doesn't have the crown or the ajna defined, so coming up with the ideas is a little bit difficult for him unless he's with other people, which explains why he's in a band. And seeing and thinking about it is a little hard, but that voice, he's got a defined throat. He's got the defined G center, so he knows who he is, which in his music, it's very obvious he knows who he is. He's very honest. My name is Ronnie. I'm an addict. He's very upfront with that. The heart center, he knows that he's capable of love and He knows that he deserves love, but there's so much self-loathing there, especially in this song, that it's hard to let himself do that. But naturally, he knows that he is lovable. He has an emotional solar plexus wave. Oh my god. I need to get rid of the chart library, because that keeps happening. So, and it's an individual solar plexus wave, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. But at the same time, he's got the sacral defined, the sacral defined and the spleen defined, so his intuition is on point. If he would just follow through with himself, he would be fine. And follow what feels right in his gut and stop thinking with his head. Because you could see even in the show, like even in the music video, the decision, like when he is drinking the whiskey, he's thinking with his head. The willingness to give in to the holy water, that is thinking with his head. But the instinct to get everyone away from her when they start flooding his home, that is his solar plexus talking to him through his spleen. That was an instinctual thing, because he loved her. He wanted to keep her safe, so he made himself bait. And the whole time he was struggling, I don't feel like he was struggling to get away. I feel like he was just struggling to keep up the act. You know what I mean? So it fits with his personality. And then he has the root, so he has that pressure for stabilization. And so he's got the 35 to 36 channel. He's a jack of all trades, and you could see that in the music. How he went from singing, and it was very much like a ballad, and then sometimes it would go a little auto-tuned, and then he displayed himself with the piano. He showed some acting prowess, and then he started screaming that last verse, but at the same time it was still dictated so you could understand what he was saying. Jack of all trades. And all of it is through his voice. Through his voice, he shows how varied he is. And even in other songs that he's done, he raps. Because he is a rapper. So he is very vocally multifaceted. And when he is connected to himself, you can tell he's into it. He's almost in a trance. That's how come he stands there and he's like playing the piano in the air. It just naturally happens. But that is how he is. Okay. So, channel 12, stand still. He's really good at leaving things on edge. So you don't quite know what he's going to do next. And again, he does it vocally. So, that's how come there were instinctive, natural pauses within the music where he would have these rests. It's almost a little cheeky the way that he does it, but it's because he's just so good at letting it breathe for that breath. I'm like looking at all of these to see how they might hook up with his song here. Stubbornness. This is a channel of struggle, 28 to 38. He is going to struggle throughout his life, which has shown in a few ways. He struggled with addiction. He struggled with going to jail. And he will still continue to struggle in some ways, however, as long as he is performing. on using his voice to the best of his ability, then he will be just fine. And basically it's like because of this gate 6, it's basically saying he cannot exist without some kind of friction being in his life. That's just how he is. He has to have that. Which is frustrating for the people who do have that. But, that's just how he is. Now, he is a manifesting generator because he has a motor to the throat. This 3536. And he has the throat defined. And he's got literally all of the motors. So he could work, make all of the music if he wanted to. And he would do just fine. But his thing, because he's a manifesting generator, he has to inform as well as respond. So from other people around him, he's going to receive information through his crown and through his third eye. That's where he gets the ideas. He's going to have to be out in public for this. He's going to have to be around other people in order to do this, to receive the ideas and get the inspiration, and then he'll turn it into music. And then from what he's experiencing, that's how he's going to inform other people. So he might come off as standoffish. He might come off as really brash and stubborn. He literally has a channel for stubbornness. It's going to happen. But it's literally a part of who he is. And the whole thing is just learning to trust that you can tell people. Which he has a defined throat. As soon as he tells someone, it's going to flow just fine. It's just a matter of letting himself do that. Because he is a 1-3 for his profile. So he's going to struggle with just being like, I am right. I am the leader. I forge ahead. And he's going to make mistakes again because we got that line 3. And that shows up all over the place. Excuse me. But as long as he's expressing himself through his craft, he will be just fine. Now, he also does best. He's got nervous touch for his digestion. So when he's texture of food matters more to him in his diet, and the way in which things are said or given to him will matter more than what is said specifically. He relaxes as he thinks things over, and then he's more willing to accept things. And so if he ever watches this, I recommend just pay attention to the texture of the foods you eat. It doesn't matter what you eat as long as the texture is pleasing to you. You also having handheld foods will probably be better for you than eating with a fork and a knife, because you're nervous for your digestion. So you need something tactile. Environment, he's mountains. He needs to be up high and to help him focus. So he might do well being in a skyscraper or being in a tree house. As long as he is up and he can see everything, it helps him focus, because then it's like he has a layout of everything around him, and you can tell it focuses him because it's his variable is going to the left. So again, if he ever watches this, highly recommend that that's what you do. You need to be up high in order to see things. So if you have a house with an office on like a landing or a ledge, that will help you focus more than if you are behind a closed door. Tree houses are your best friend. So, I just found that fascinating. The whole song, he's talking about struggle. He's talking about how he doesn't know where his self-control is. And a lot of the time that happens again when you lead from your undefined places. We no longer as human beings need to make decisions from our crown and our third eye. When we were 7-centered beings, in 1786, prior to that, then We needed that. Excuse me. But now, that's not where we lead from. We lead from our emotional wave and our authority. So his inner authority is going to be the solar plexus wave. Yeah. And because that's literally how he informs people. Because that's what makes him the manifesting generator. It's so easy for him to get what he wants as long as he's using his voice. So remember to do that. But I just found that incredibly interesting. Now, with the music, if this was a song that popped up in a Shufflemancy reading, if this popped up as the answer, automatically through the lyrics you could tell it was a song full of self-loathing. You feel like one thing, but you're not. And notice, I love this because it gives all of the intervals here. Notice all these threes. All of these threes. All these triplets. 3, for tarot, if you do numerology for tarot, it's all about community and creativity, right? Because that's the Empress is our 3. But if we take it from a human design perspective, that's the trial and error, because it's about experimentation and it's about learning. That took on this entire song. I can't sing right now because my throat. Damn it. I'm not a vampire, but I feel like one. Okay? I'm not. And this whole theme, all of these, until it gets to, but I feel like one. It's all in triples. It's all that trial and error. I feel like this, but I'm not this. I feel like one thing, but I'm not. As soon as he identifies who he actually is, it actually goes into a 7 and a 5. So those, for tarot, are about conflict, right? And those are about imbalance. But those actually help get you some kind of flow going because you've acknowledged the problem. So, and it's the same thing when it continues, like, sometimes I sleep all day, but I hate the sun, light. Okay, let's see if we can get all of this on here. Sometimes I sleep all day because I hate the sun, light. That's light right there. So, musically, what's interesting? Instead of going fully up to the next note, because it's like, sometimes I sleep, he sharpens it. And then he comes back down and naturalizes it. Okay, so musically, it's a lot easier to go down than it is to go up. It's easier to go flat than it is to go sharp. And this is a person in this song who has lots of 3s. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of inner conflictedness. And he chooses to go sharp. He's taking the harder path intentionally. Ronnie Radke's stubborn. He's incredibly stubborn. But it goes up to an 8. Notice that? If we were counting the notes on the staff, it goes up to 8, which is usually hard work and detailedness. He knows he's making it hard on himself, which is why he says that he's insane. And he's wondering where his self-control is. He has this self-awareness because his brain is incredibly detailed like that. So he's intentionally musically making it harder on himself, along with all these triples. And the fact that he waits to say light, for this first verse, because it's sometimes I sleep all day, as I hate the sunlight. I know I messed up on that because of vocals. But he purposely waited. And he went from like a 2 to a 7. He bumped up there because he went from an E all the way up to F, G, A, all the way up to an A. Because we know the man has a range. And it's just like, anytime he finds even ground, anytime we get to an even number, he immediately switches back to the odds. And if you think about odds and even numbers like 4, that's the emperor, that's stability, that's a chair, right? You're not going to fall off that. But a 3-legged chair, you have a bigger chance of falling, right? You need 2 triangles to make a square. And something stable for yourself. And he keeps purposely switching out of something that's easy and purposely challenging himself because he knows he can do it. It's the vocal prowess, there we go, that he has. So if we were to get this song just from these however many, 4, these 9 bars coming from here down to light, then whatever you're dealing with, you're purposely making it hard for yourself, or the person that you're asking about is making things harder for themselves on purpose because they know they have the talent to get out of the situation. They know that they have the ability to, but they choose to stay where they are, or you're choosing to stay where you are because it actually challenges you. But if it's a situation that you don't agree with, then you need to purposely move yourself into something that's healthier. Right? Because this whole song, there's even some parts of it where he tries to blame other people for where he is now. So, like, when it goes auto-tune, he's like, "Hi, my name is Ronnie. I'm an addict." In the original song, it went, "Hi, Ronnie." And he immediately follows it up with, "Daddy should have never raised me on Black Sabbath." On the band Black Sabbath. So, one of the first things in an addiction recovery is admitting what you are, and that's an addict. And then he immediately takes the focus off of himself and puts it on his father. Isn't that interesting? That, cool, you've accepted it, and now you've made it harder for yourself because now you've given yourself another milestone that you have to work through, you know what I mean? So, I find that fascinating. A person, if this were the answer to a question, it's a situation that you're making it purposely harder on yourself. And you haven't completely come to terms with the fact that everything is your fault. There might be some things that other people have contributed to, but you have to take responsibility for your own actions. And we saw in the video, he did that. By the time it hit the climax, that denouement, he took responsibility for his own actions, knowing for a vampire that if you destroy yourself, if you are killed, then no one's there to look after your thrall or after those you've turned. They'll be destroyed as well. So it's almost like him taking out, it's like dealing with any kind of shadow work or ancestral work. You dig at the wound and you work through that trauma, and it almost erases everything that happened after that. It's like the emotion code. You find the source of the negative emotion, you get rid of it, and all of a sudden, all of the pain just goes away. Isn't that interesting? That's what this song is. It's that battle within yourself with, this is my fault, but it's also this person. Whiskey's my holy water. It's not my fault that it hurts me. but I'm acknowledging that it does. And then he dipped down that hole into self-destructive behavior. And I find that incredibly fascinating. So let me know what you guys think. That is in general what I would tell someone for a Shufflemancy reading. Of course, I would tailor it to their question, but that's how I would break it down. And a lot of the times in the printout, I would give the information. I would give them the sheet music that I'm talking about, and I'd circle it and stuff like that. So, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. If you like videos like this, please feel free to subscribe. I would love to get to know you. Otherwise, please like, comment again. Let me know if this is something that you would be interested in continuing to see. And I will see you guys next Monday for our next Media Monday. Bye.